To go, and what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this.
But the whistle goes now. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on Podcast, the Sutton Podcast. We're on the Sunday service, on time today, not new, not late. On a Sunday, it's doing as we should. It's going to move around a bit because, as you probably all heard, Rosie's taken a big interest in the Sutton United ladies, so it will depend on their fixtures as when I get to do these now. But the podcast will still come out at roughly the same time. Don't forget to join in the chat. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I can't remember the channel name on YouTube. Some weird sequence of numbers, but if you find it, you find it. Join in any chats. It's good to see anything that pops up. I think I've got the hang of it. Probably going to make a hash of it today if I do, but never mind. Joining me today, we've got Julian, who is also Magnum and JR on the various different forums and blogs and whatnot. Hello, Julian. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. Thank you very much. Yes.
Very, very good.
Just warmed up from yesterday, just about. So.
Well, I was nice and toasty yesterday. I'm sure everyone knows because I haven't stopped moaning about it. But so I don't know where to start really with yesterday. I suppose we should probably get a controversial bit out the way. 1,500 quid out of pocket. That's like 12 pairs of trousers, is it?
Yeah. So I heard. Gutted that I left early. I waited, and then I had to go. I said to Adrian, "You need to do it on time," but he was running late, and unfortunately, I had to leave. And then I think it might have been Mr. Taylor, by the sounds of things, that pulled out the wrong key. So I told him he owes me 1,400 quid.
Or 12 pairs of trousers.
Or 12 pairs of trousers, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, he can take me shopping in Paul Smith or somewhere, and he can get some new pairs. I need some new pairs. But, yeah.
I'm sure he will, as long as Paul Smith is spelt like Primark. But anyway, but on to the game. So just a couple of little things. As the teams were announced, obviously, I've said many, many times there's a reason why I talk about football and pay to watch football. But were you surprised to see Dave chuck straight back in, considering Enzio had such a great game the other night?
I wasn't really, to be honest. If he was fit enough, which he obviously was, he's the go-to man that Matt, he's one of the first names on the team sheet, I reckon. So I wasn't surprised. I don't think he had his best game at Stevenage. The Stevenage players marked him out the game quite well, but of course, then he did produce that bit of magic, the lovely cross for Richie to head home. So, and we know that David's got that, and he did a few mazy runs yesterday. So I wasn't surprised, although Enzio did have a cracking game on Tuesday. But it is a squad game. I'm sure Enzio will probably feature more prominently on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I did the whole fan hub thing, and I actually thought that we would start with Enzio and Dave coming off the bench for the last 20, 30 minutes to just literally run his fresh legs at some very tired legs, and obviously change the Northampton's game plan, because as you say, teams now plan to double up on Dave mostly, which would have thrown them a little bit not to start him. And another one, I thought Richie had a shout to start as well. I mean, obviously, I love Omar, but I did think Richie had a little shout to start, with same kind of thinking of put him on, batter, and then the last 20, 30 minutes, stick Omar on. But onto the game, how was it there? It seemed quite nervy listening to it.
Well, I think the first half I think was a bit was a bit ordinary. Their keeper did an outstanding save from Ali. I think it was Ali Smith. Really, really good save down low to his right. But we didn't quite get our passing game going. We were miscontrolling it a little bit. But Matt does what he does very well at half time, has a word with the players, and they came out firing second half. The first 15, 20 minutes were excellent. And then the keeper did another brilliant save from Will Randall. And somehow it got stuck between his legs, the rebound, so he couldn't put it in. And we looked very good, I thought. And, I've read some of the comments in the Northampton forum, and, they're basically saying that we were outplaying them and stuff like that, which is good to see. And we were very good. Northampton, of course, came into the game. They knocked the ball around very nicely, as we found with all the League Two clubs. Generally, that some of the passing is excellent from these League Two clubs. They're quick and stuff, but we have such a resilience in our team, and we've got plenty of weapons ourselves. So it was a much better second half performance, I thought. I don't think the tempo was quite as high as Tuesday. I thought Tuesday's game was absolutely brilliant as a spectacle to watch, but also the tempo. Because I think Colchester are a decent side, and that, even though I think they're in the false position, and their result yesterday at Salford sort of proves that. I think
it's 3-0, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So they were very good against us, but we were all equally very good as well, and that was a cracking game. Yeah, we were much better second half, but of course, then the sending off sort of does make things very difficult for the 10 men. And so you automatically think, well, yeah, we'll take a point. And people before the game, to be fair, most people said, well, you take a draw, weren't you? And we said, well, yeah, absolutely. We didn't want to lose to Northampton because that would have made them go above us. They would have gone above us. But if we'd managed to get a win, then we're having a bit of a gap, which would be nice. And there's, with Tranmere winning again, there is a bit of a gap between first, second, and those below. But it was a decent hard-earned point against a good side. Don't forget that they got relegated from League One last year, so
exactly,
they're always going to be up there or thereabouts. So
we did before the game. Claire and Charles and I were discussing it, and they obviously were going for an absolute goal fest. Yeah. I did say, well, hang on a minute. I think it might be the two managers tying it all up a little bit, and it could be very, very boring. So it's either going to be a 0-0 draw or a 5-5 draw. And I think I actually went for a 1-0 win in the end. But it did seem that it was kind of, we cancelled each other out a lot. It was a bit of a chess game. I'm not sure, listening to it, whether even if we had the 11 men, we would have got the win. I think it would have got quite cagey towards the end, and I think it probably would have petered out to a 0-0 eventually anyway.
Yeah, quite possibly. I couldn't see. I felt that both defences played really, really well.
Yeah.
And they couldn't break us down. They couldn't get past our defence. I mean, Dean Bazzani's had nothing to do in the second half. I mean, there were some dangerous balls in and stuff like that, and some great clearances, but he didn't have a save to make. Yeah. And likewise, really, their keeper didn't have too much to do. We had a few shots from outside the box, but I think they defended very well as well. One thing I have noticed, and it seems to happen quite a lot, there were a lot of fouls that went unpunished from both sides. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was one in the first half. Ben Goodliff was pulling the guy's shirt off his back. I mean, and the linesman had a clear view of it. It was a blatant penalty all day long to them, and he doesn't give it. But then they were doing fouls all the time as well, and he just allowed play to go on. I suppose you don't want to keep on breaking back. It's a bit odd. I don't understand the laws of the game. When you've got the laws of the game, it's supposed to be a foul, and they don't blow up.
Yeah, I mean, that's been said for many years, different levels of football, about, we can't do that because it'll be fouls every couple of minutes, or would end up games with 7v7. It's like, well, actually, you wouldn't. It'd only happen a couple times.
Yeah.
Once, if a Premier League game got abandoned because the ref was sending people off for the bookable offences that they just kept totting up, the sponsors and the league would not. The players would soon start learning, no, we can't do this. I mean, there's things going on in penalty boxes which are just ridiculous at corners. And the ref has a nice long talk to them, walks 2 paces away, and they do exactly the same thing straight away. It's like,
I mean, that happened yesterday quite a few times.
Yeah.
And he had to keep on stopping and having a go. But he was very one thing he didn't like, which I don't see that often, but he kept on stopping the throwers gaining yards.
Yeah.
Saw that, you might see it a couple of times in the game, but he was doing it all the time.
Mm.
So he obviously didn't like that. And I mean, Northampton were trying to gain quite a few yards on a few occasions because they got an absolute weapon of a guy with a massive throw. I mean, he launches it straight onto the, anywhere near the touchline, near the penalty area. He launches it straight onto the penalty spot. I mean, and at pace as well. It was quite a weapon. I should imagine they get a few goals from that way. I mean, reminds me of George Carline, I think it was at Chesterfield, used to do that. And we struggled then in those days, but we coped very well yesterday with that.
So what we really need to be doing is, I used to do in Sunday League, is every time we had a referee who used to be fussy about a certain thing, I'd just make a little note. And next time we had that referee, I was able to say to the players, right, he's really fussy on this.
Yeah. And
it used to wind up the opposition knowing, because we'd have a ref who'd get fussy about the throw-ins, and we would always be going, is this okay, ref? Is this the right spot? And then they would always get pulled up, and then they'd get nuts because we're never getting pulled up for it. And it's that's because we've learned very quickly that this ref hates that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need our little black book of how it goes on. But let's go on to the subject. For probably the first time since I put out all these little tell me what you're thinking, there was quite a lot of comments about the red card, obviously.
Yeah.
So a few of them, I'll come to your comments in a sec and what you think, but a few of them. So from the COCs on Twitter, I hope the bloke is okay after such a shocking challenge. There were a few laughing tear faces after that one. Surely that's going to be appealed after the suspension is ridiculous. Tim on Twitter. Then we've got a couple comedian. That's Mark on Facebook. Comical. This is going to be revoked from Paul on Facebook. Can't see what tackle he's talking about. That was Chris on Facebook. Then we've got Chalmers, who was saying this is what happens in football nowadays. We try and deceive officials, convince them they've seen something that isn't there, what's happened up and down the country. It happens Premier League and beyond. There were some other comments from Ryan, Andrew, and Gandamadian, but I'll leave out the swear words. So they were interesting. What I couldn't understand was the opponent manager. He said in his interview he'd seen and this is the video I put out earlier, he'd seen the replay, and he said he went right over him, didn't go for the ball. And this is after he said he'd seen the replay. Now, I kind of see what the fourth official and the manager might have saw first view. So if you watch it and try and imagine yourself from their angle, first view, Craig's leg does go down, the player does pull his foot up and goes onto the floor. So you could kind of go, well, hang on, was that a stamp? However, I think the free kick was given because Craig picked up the ball. So I think the free kick was given because Craig sort of grabbed hold of the ball. So I think it was deliberate handball. And then the fourth official went to call the referee over and said, obviously, he thought it was a stamp. But the ref was closer and looking at it from a different angle. So why doesn't he say to the fourth, no, I didn't see it that way. And overrule it. But you were on the curver, so you kind of had the same view as the ref, almost.
Yes.
How did it look to you guys?
Yeah, well, and I've obviously watched it back again, and it's obviously from the more or less the same place on the Collingwood rec side. I know I could see exactly what Craig was doing there. He was trying to get his body between shielding the ball from the player. So he was going over. He was going to plant his foot down. That's the thing. So he went to plant his foot, and he's then shielding the ball with players behind him. And he can't get it. He's got his arm out. But it's not bent, it's straight. So there's no elbow. It's a straight arm. And again, he's using his body to protect the ball and stopping the player from getting there. That's how I saw it. And I've tried to see where the stamp was. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see a stamp at all. from the other side, maybe they saw some contact, and that may be where they thought it was. That's what happened, but he wasn't. He was planting his foot. He just got his foot across. He was going across to make himself big, to stop the player getting the ball. And then, of course, he went down, handled the ball. The ball went out, and then one of their players booted it at him from about a foot. Of course, no action was taken. So it's all a bit odd. I mean, it depends what's in the referee's report, but it's just bizarre that the fourth official chose to get involved. I can't recall. It probably has happened, but I can't recall the fourth official getting involved in something like that.
But they always say when the managers complain to them and say, "Oh, aren't you going to call anything?" No, I can't get involved. It's up to the ref.
Yeah.
Well, either this is nonsense or that's nonsense. What you can't now have both.
No, exactly. I mean, very, very bizarre. And as you say, the referee was 5 yards away. Well, if he can't see it from there, and we also had obviously the linesman on that side, obviously a different angle. But again, because they're mic'd up and we don't know what they're saying to each other. The fourth official, and the fourth official said, "Oh, it's a stamp. He's off. You got to send him off." And he took it on his say so. Well, he's part of the four officials, I suppose. So they're allowed to do that, but it's a bit odd, and it'd be interesting to see whether the club appeal or not.
I mean, there's a case for. I'm being cynical now. A case for appealing it and delaying the decision or the possible suspension because he'll be available on Tuesday, and B, Harry's getting closer and closer to coming back. Yeah. So if we push back this suspension a little bit, even on the risk of it taking one more game, I don't know. That's probably being way too cynical. Whether it's worth doing that or not, I don't know. But I can't see it unless we're all missing something. We're assuming it's a stamp because of what the manager said, but it actually might be for something completely different. So we'll obviously have to wait and see.
Well, I'm seeing Craig's tweet, and someone tweeted him and said, "What were you sent off for?" And he's got shrugged shoulders.
You tell me exactly. Exactly.
So. And I know obviously the club have seen it all, and various officials have seen it, and they didn't see what it was for. But you never know with these appeals. It's the problem,
Exactly.
If we were part of Wales, like Wrexham, they appeal to the Welsh FA and it would get rescinded. But unfortunately, we're not, so we can't.
Unfortunately, I don't know. Anyway, right. So just before we finish on the game, I'm remembering this week. Who's your player of the day? Who's your player?
Good. Right. So I was thinking about this during the game yesterday because I obviously knew that you were going to ask me this, and I was thinking,
you were more confident than anyone else was.
Did anybody really stand out? And I was thinking, well, I don't know. Maybe I should be players of the day because I think the back five were superb, including Dean Bazanis in that. I think they were all superb to keep Northampton out because they did look dangerous going forward, but they really didn't get too near the goal, and I thought it was superb. But I think I'll go for Joe Kizzy. There was a tackle in the first half where you thought the guy was going to score, and Kizzy, did this absolute brilliant tackle near the penalty spot, and somehow comes away with the ball, I think, and it certainly blocks the guy from shooting. It was absolutely superb, and I think Kizzy had an outstanding game, and he did a really good header right at the end as well when his dangerous cross came in. But you got to say Louis John and Ben Goodliff were outstanding as well. I mean, John was in the wars. I mean, he got kicked in the. Actually, it was quite a high kick, actually, and the referee didn't do anything about it. And we thought, I think he booked him, but we were all shouting red because obviously Eastie gets a red. But I think, the whole of the back five were excellent, but I'd give it to Kizzy. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. And he put in an amazing cross, obviously, for Randall's header.
Yeah. Well, the commentary team on iFollow had picked him as man of the match as well.
Did they? Right.
Yeah, they actually picked him quite early. I think probably after that tackle in the first half, and then it kind of that caught the eye, and then everything he did, they were like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely man of the match."
Yeah.
But that's going to lead us very, very nicely on to the big game on Tuesday. We are in the Pizza Cup. And we are against Harrogate. And joining us now from Harrogate is Jordan. Hello, Jordan. How are you?
Hi there. Very well, thank you. Are you okay?
Grand. So You guys have been in the Premier League Two. Oh my God, I just jumped forward 30 years. So you guys have been in League Two for a full year. So you're obviously well used to all the travelling because you do the supporters club. So organising all the travel, it's old news for you, is it?
That's right, yeah. I mean, I've arranged the travel for about 8 years for our supporters club, which is great. I mean, fortunately, last season, even though we could watch the games on TV, but we couldn't go. So this is probably the first season, like yourself, that we've been able to get to these new grounds, which is brilliant, and get to games out like in the Papa Johns Trophy, which again we weren't able to go to last season, unfortunately.
So how's it been for you guys? I know you basically you are kind of 12 months ahead of us with the whole changing the pitch, having quite a small squad, getting used to playing professional full-time football. How's it kind of been for you guys going to year 2 now?
I think the aim is probably similar to last season in that we want to stay up. We want to become an established sort of league team. We don't want to just come up, spend a couple of seasons in League Two, and then go back down to the National League, because we both know how difficult it is to get out of that division. But it's been new, very much different to non-league football with the segregation, and we didn't spend a huge amount of time in the National League either. So I think we spent two seasons in the National League before getting promoted after being in National League North. And that was massively different to the National League. But we seem to be coping all right. Like you say, small squad, which has taken its toll recently until we've been able to bring some fresh bodies in. But yeah, changing the pitch and coming away from the 3G, which was fantastic for us. Having that at the club and what it brought to the club, and lots of new families because kids were training on there during the week. So it's built us up as a club as well. Going from having attendances of sort of 500-600 a few years ago to now, I think yesterday it was about 2,600 against Oldham. So we're just growing. We don't want to grow too quickly. But yeah, we're just sort of building ourselves up, and hopefully we'll become an established league club.
Yeah, it's fairly, well, almost exactly similar, isn't it, Julian? I mean, the only tiny difference is we didn't find it really that difficult to get out of the National League because we didn't even try. And we got out of the National League, so we can't say how long it took because we were trying. We never tried. We just accidentally got promoted. But all that other stuff about the pitch and the families doing that is exactly what we've been saying. And one of our biggest worries, I was quite proud, really, when we got promoted. And almost right away, one of the big first concerns for everyone was, well, hang on a minute, where are the ladies going to play? Where are the kids going to play? Where are the community teams going to play? It was never, ever about the first team, because we all knew the first team were going to play somewhere and they were going to have a great pitch. But it's all the knock-on teams. And it took a while because everyone kind of was assuming we didn't want our pitch to be ripped up because it was magic. Wasn't it, Julian?
Well, we were quite lucky because we had the 3G pitch at the ground, but then also we got a relationship with one of the nearby secondary schools where the club funded a 3G pitch there as well. So a lot of the sort of the evening where the kids would do the player development centre, and they would have that every night of the week, and sort of 6-a-side, they were able to move all that to this school. Now, I do know that the club have also got some planning permission as well on a plot of land just on the way out of Harrogate, where they're hoping to build a proper training facility. Because at the moment, the team are training over at Leeds, which is about 20 miles away. So having somewhere in Harrogate where the team can train, there's also hopefully be able to get some housing there as well, which can be used for players who are maybe on loan or coming over to the country. But and also, like I say, with the children and having that real sort of family club feel, and it's so that'll be a really good step for us, I think.
Perfect. So going into this season, so you survived last year. What were your what were your expectations, and how are we comparing to those at the moment?
So, before the season started, I would have been happy with essentially just staying in the league, possibly improving on last season's finish, where I think we were about 17th last season. So we're currently exceeding that. We had a very strong start to the season. Started very well, and as a football fan, I think it's just naturally you get carried away and think, oh yeah, we could go up to League One, which I'm sure you guys are feeling at the moment. But
no. We're all still. We've just ticked off 44 points yesterday, and I can almost guarantee if I ask anyone, everyone's going to be like, well, 2 more wins and we got to our 50 points. And it's
yeah. Well, that's what we were doing last season. As soon as you hit that 50 points, then the pressure's off. I mean, we've seen some poor teams in the league. I mean, we played Oldham yesterday, who are in all sorts of trouble, and speaking with their supporters, who were absolutely fantastic. But I mean, they were poor. Scunthorpe as well. So I think you need to be not particularly good to get relegated out of this division.
So, Julian, you would have gone to the Harrogate game, not last year, obviously, but a couple of years before, or?
Oh yes, yes. Yes, I've been to Harrogate a couple of times. I've got a friend, a work friend of mine, is a season ticket holder there. I'm looking forward to going up there and meeting up with them, and the last game of the season.
It is.
So that'll be nice and sunny. But yes, I've been there, and I'm sure the ground has changed since we last went, because of the various improvements they've had to make. Obviously, they haven't got the 3G anymore for a start, but they would have had to make some other ground improvements like we are. But I expect they've got theirs done quicker than us, although it's not our fault.
I was going to say that we've got everything on order. It's just not been delivered.
Yeah, COVID sort of got in the way, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's frustrating because obviously we got 3,600, just under 3,600 yesterday, and had we had everything in place, which we were supposed to have done, but COVID gets in the way, and we would have got over 4,000 yesterday. Because we're only restricted, I don't know if you know, Jordan, but we're only restricted to about 470 away fans at the moment. So,
right.
So Northampton obviously sold their allocation out very quickly, but that should be going up to 1,400 by the end of the season, all being well. Which is good because we've got Bradford last game. But it makes a difference for us clubs and your club, I'm sure. That just the gates, 2.6 is an excellent gate for Harrogate. When a few years ago, as you say, we're getting 4,500, and it just makes a massive difference. And the atmosphere, people want to go. I say the business people that I know that they go now, and they absolutely love it. But it's only in the last couple of years, and the kids go and they absolutely love it. And it's a community club, much like Sutton. It's very much like Sutton, I think, Harrogate. And it's good. It's getting all the kids involved. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I've always obviously loved bringing kids to football. I think it's a great idea because they can have the freedom. I mean, I've started, as I mentioned, taking Rosie to the ladies' side, and it's like a proper throwback to ages and ages ago because you can just wander around everywhere, just let her run riot and shout and scream because it's like you can't get out. You're fine. Go on, crack on with whatever you want to do. Yeah. So it is a bit difficult because when you're thinking about bringing her to the games and there's like 3,500, I'm like, she's not going to see. So you'd have to kind of try and get her on shoulders and stuff. So it gets more difficult as it gets crowded. So it's like a double-edged sword with the bigger crowd.
And where you stand, Mike, the language is a little bit fruity as well.
Is it? Never noticed. Because obviously I don't talk to anyone ever, apparently. So let's have a little preview. What do we feel about Tuesday, and how do you guys feel about the Pizza Cup in general, Jordan? I know some people like it and some people really dislike the whole concept of it.
Yeah, I love it personally. Just it's another opportunity for clubs like us to excel and get to Wembley. I mean, we've missed two 2 trips to Wembley in the past 2 seasons. So in our history, we played at Wembley twice, and both times we weren't allowed to take fans. We were both behind closed doors. So probably the 2 biggest days of the club's history as well. So to get there for a 3rd time and actually have fans there, I know the club would absolutely love that, and we as fans would as well. It's also, I mean, we played away at Sheff Wednesday at Hillsborough in the in sort of the round in the group stages, and just the opportunity for our supporters to go to a ground like that when sort of 4 or 5 years ago we were going to places like Brackley and Leamington. So it's a great opportunity. I can see why perhaps more established clubs, like maybe like Bradford, the bigger clubs, don't like the idea of it, because with the under-21 clubs coming in, which I can understand. But for clubs like us, I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Julian, you'll probably give an answer as well, very similar.
Money.
Except, I was just literally going to say, except all the Sutton fans sit there going, yeah, and it's 10 grand a win, and it's this much a win. And so the money involved for us was, at first it was like, oh yeah, we're not really bothered. And then when they started saying how much the prize money was, all of a sudden, most of the older fans who've been around a long time, the ears just went, how much are we going to get for this? I don't know if you guys are similar with the money at stake, but it's been great for us. It's been really, really good. I jumped on the bandwagon quite early. I think you were on possibly before me as well, Julian, weren't you? Did you go to the Palace game or not?
Yes, I've been to all of them.
Yeah.
Unlike someone like Dan Taylor, who's just sorry, I've got to get that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
A Gandemonian blogger. He's now jumping on a bandwagon, and I've been to all of them, and I've loved it. The only thing I'm surprised about, and I mentioned it on Saturday to a couple of people, sponsored by Papa Johns. Why are Papa Johns not having pizza vans at the grounds and stuff like that? I thought, I'm surprised that I'm surprised. You don't get anything. You don't get anything for it. It's nice of them to spend the money, but I thought they might want to sell some pizzas or something. But I'd have one.
You get onto their marketing team. That's what it needs to. But I think we need a ruling, because obviously I had bought my ticket and I've got my ticket for Tuesday, but I can't come on Tuesday because of the isolation rules. So I'm not jumped off this bandwagon. I'm still on it. I'm still allowed to come to Wembley. Yeah, there we go. Good.
I mean, it's a massive game. It's a massive game for both clubs, I think. And I mean, we've been very lucky. We've been drawn at home at every game. We've only had to play away at Portsmouth, and all the other games have been at home. So very lucky in that respect.
So you mentioned you're coming yourself, Jordan, yeah?
Yeah. So there's a coach heading down. Unfortunately, we don't have the greatest number of supporters. We don't travel particularly well, but the fans that we do have are certainly very passionate. They do get behind the team. We've got quite a lot of sort of London-based supporters who I'm sure will be there. So unfortunately, we won't bring in massive numbers, but we'll probably have a similar amount to what was there in the league. But yeah, we've got a coach coming down, and I'll be running that. Yeah,
again, that's something that kind of will just build as both of us go along, because we've had games in the not too distant past. I think, was it Barrow a couple of seasons ago where there was like 13, 14?
13. We took
13 people at Barrow on a Tuesday night. And that's not that long ago. In fact, I think that was 2018.
Yeah.
Now we're all getting bigger crowds because you've got people who are casually interested, same as yourselves, a little bit like, oh, well, my main team's away, I'll pop down to Sutton. We've got a lot of ground hoppers coming to us at the moment because we're obviously a new ground. And we've been lucky enough a couple of times where we've been the only London team playing, and a lot of neutrals come along to us. But even then, I think at Stevenage, we still managed nearly, was it 400 or 500?
Yeah, just under 400.
Yeah, so even then, it's kind of building up a little bit where the people who are just coming along casually are just returning, and they're just finding that little something which is different from if you go to Premier League, you're a customer, and when you come to our level, you're not. You genuinely are welcomed, and you're made to feel like you belong there after just a couple of games, really. But what are your feelings on the match itself? What do you think you're going to have? I would imagine both teams are going to put out their strongest side at this point now.
I'd like to think so. We probably put out our strongest team in each of the other rounds, so certainly no reason why not. We tried a new formation yesterday, so with sort of 3-4-3 with sort of two wing backs, which worked really well, albeit it was against a pretty poor Oldham team. But I was at the Sutton game earlier on, about a month ago now, and I thought we played well, and we were unlucky not to come away with something from that game. So that gives me a bit of confidence. What doesn't give me confidence is I think I've been to your ground 3 or 4 times, and I don't think it's seen us come away with anything yet. So hopefully that'll change on Tuesday.
No. But your last 2 weeks though, you've sort of had highs and lows, haven't you? You've had the 3-0 yesterday, a slightly different formation against a team sort of down there. But then the previous Saturday, it was
4-0 against Newport.
Yeah, but they're quite a good side as well, though. They're doing well.
And we were abysmal. So
you can bring that into tomorrow, Tuesday. So what are your thoughts, Julian? How do you think it's going to go?
Well, it's going to be a close game, isn't it? Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Craig Eastman, whether he'll be available or not. But obviously, we'll find out on Tuesday. But if not, we've got Kenny Davis to come in. He will do a job. I suspect there'll be a few changes for Saturday because we have a quality squad, and anybody that comes in can do a job. So I expect Baldwin might start. I think it's just going to be a very close game. 2 very good sides. I mean, much that a lot of our fans don't like Josh Falkingham, but he's a hell of a player. His tenacity, I think he's an excellent player. And for a man so little, about 5'2" or whatever he is, he really is a good player. And they've got some cracking players, Harrogate. So it's got the makings of a good game. I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. And I just hope there's no controversy. May the best team win, Sutton. No, just hope there's no controversy about dodgy refs giving a dodgy penalty or something like that. You don't want that in a quarter final of a cup game. The stakes are pretty high now. £50,000 to the winner, semi-final. At the stake, it's massive against. You look at the other sides that you could possibly play in a semi-final with some big clubs there. And both sides will be desperately trying to get through. It'd be interesting to see, but I think it's going to be a cracking game. And anybody who's podcast are thinking about coming, do come to the game. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound harsh on both teams, but I actually would have preferred for us both to get one of the so-called big clubs who aren't taking it very seriously. And then we could have both got past them into the semi-finals, rather than one of us having to bow out at this stage. But Julian, I'm going to ask you for a prediction.
Oh gosh, right.
You avoided it.
Yeah.
You avoided it. I'll tell you what. We'll hear what Jordan thinks the game's going to be, and then we'll swing back for predictions from both of you. So Jordan, how do you think the game's going to
go? We usually concede. I'll put it that way. So I think you guys will get a goal. Julian mentioned there Josh Falkingham, who's been one of the integral parts of our rise up the table. Absolutely fantastic player. one of them that you love him to be on your team, but if you're playing against him, you must absolutely hate him. Bit like Robbie Savage. And if he has a bad game, genuinely, us as a club, we don't do well. Whereas if he's on his game, we'll do well. So hopefully he'll be on his game. I'm hopeful. As a prediction, I hate doing predictions for the match, but I'll go 2-1 Harrogate.
Okay. Julian?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go 2-1 as well, but unsurprisingly, I'm going 2-1 Sutton. I think we don't normally go two games without scoring, so I think we'll certainly score at least one, but I'm expecting two. We'll score 2 goals, I think, and we're strong up front. We've got some quality up front. Whoever's playing, so yeah, 2-1, I think.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for a 2-2 in normal, and then we get through on pens. Officially, I'm going to say 2-2.
Wow.
If that happens, I'll claim the victory on that because I've only got one result right all season. So let's not put any money on Mike's predictions. So that brings us to a nice little natural close there. I would just like to mention, obviously, on the socials at Sutton Podcast, if there's anything you want to mention to me or you just want to share it, please do. Thanks. There's no one joined in the live chats because I did forget to check, and actually there's nothing in there, thank God. But thanks to both of you for your time. Thanks to everyone for listening. And I won't see you on Tuesday for reasons I've mentioned a million times. It's not even getting boring to myself yet, but I'm sure everyone else is bored. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All the best.
United! 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 United!